Company 250, Company 310, Company 60 for your tankers. Respond for confirmed structure fire.
Hey guys, looks like we have a structure fire. Get moving. Station 23 on a structure fire down. Gonna get it out.
On scene, we have fire showing from the electrical drop. We're investigating further.
Go ahead and put it out. Whoever brings engine 34, we need them set up on the north end of the parking lot. We need to be set up on the north end of the parking lot.
The phone was ringing, and it was downstairs, and I knew it was my wife because she was down in Atlanta, that's where we're from, and she's at a bar, you know, hey, with all the old friends. So I didn't answer it, and then as soon as the machine picked it up and it started ringing again. So I went downstairs and answered it, and the whole time, man, there's sirens and stuff going on because we live right down the street, and I could hear them all. And it was Matt, and he's like, dude, the place is on fire and it's not going out. I was like, yeah, right. And then he said it again, but he had that little tremble in his voice. And I was like, oh, no. I was like, all right, call 911, you know, and all that stuff.
We were hanging out at my friend's place at Steeplechase, and somebody got a phone call, and they were like, Boone Saloon's on fire. And me and my friends were like, no way. I got really scared because one of my best friends lives in the building right above Boone Saloon. And I was like, oh my God, I wonder if their apartment's on fire. I mean, there were just thoughts going through my head. I mean, it was so scary.
It was after 11, I remember. And I had to work the next morning, so I was already in bed. And I heard somebody banging on my door. And, you know, you get people in the hallways here sometimes. People don't usually bang on your doors. And it turns out it was my neighbor from number 1 here who already knew what was going on. And so he was saying, the saloon's on fire, you gotta get out.
We just ran all the way from Steeplechase all the way up here to Boone Saloon. And the second we got about right here, my friend ran up to me and he was like, check it out, it's on fire. And I couldn't even speak to him because all I could see was just flames pouring out of the windows of Boone Saloon.
So I came out the door here, and there were fire trucks like all on the street here. Water everywhere, because I guess a lot of water drains out the bottom of the trucks, but they had the whole street closed down.
When the call came over, it was kind of an unusual dispatch for us, because the way the call came over, they said we had a working structure fire, but that all the occupants were out of the building. And that's a rarity for us to hear that on dispatch. It did get our attention in the fact that it was a working fire, so we were getting our thoughts in line on what we were going to do when we got there.
The fire department was just kind of trying to figure out how they were going to go in, and the fire was at the back of the building, but they obviously had to go in the front here.
They had a live band there that night. Matter of fact, the band was playing it, and my understanding, they're the ones that saw the smoke and the fire first and started telling everybody they needed to get out.
When we have shows, we take all these tables that are behind us and we put them in the dry storage area. So it's really hard to get to the office. So when the fire people came in, they couldn't get to it.
They had moved tables around and had them stored back there to the back to where we basically couldn't get access back there to start with.
It was the Grateful Dead cover band, Cosmic Charlie was playing. And the lead singer guy was like, man, something's burning. And the guitar player said, dude, that's me. And he said, no, really, you're not that good. And then they played another song, and the lead singer was like, something is definitely burning. So everybody just whoop out. And apparently it was like elementary school. You know, they're like, fire, get out, and everybody just got up. You know, they grabbed their beer, but they left their keys, you know. But everyone, it was real calm, and there were like 80 people in here, and everybody was out, just hanging out in the street.
People still had beers in their hand, and it was kind of weird, like a surreal, like a party where you're watching a building burn.
I knew people from my classes, people I hadn't seen since freshman year were here. Everybody was standing here in those apartments over there. There were people all over King Street, which was blocked off by fire trucks. I saw one of my best friends standing right there, just screaming at me. And we tried to get closer. We walked pretty close, and then there was a fireman. He was like, no, you can't go any closer, except right here. So we just stood here for probably half an hour, and watched.
The street was blocked off and by the cops. I was like, man, I own the saloon, and they let me by. And then I walked and just black smoke was pouring out the front, which didn't look too bad to me. And then I walked around the back, and in the office, which is right behind here, there's a window, and it was just white light. It was so bright. It was just...
There were people everywhere on King Street, and there were fire trucks blocking off the street completely. And they were pumping so much water into Boone Saloon that it was like a river. King Street and this street right here just flooded.
Once I got that hose working, it went out pretty quick, because it's a lot of water coming out.
The deluge set that we were using, where you see a picture that shows us sticking it in the window, that's 1,000 gallons a minute. The reason why the gentleman was on the end of the ladder, which isn't a normal practice, was to be able to aim the deluge nozzle exactly through the window, because if you look at it, it was a rather small window.
The water wasn't too bad for us, but it was heinous for downstairs at the Ink Link, because it was just like it was raining. And then the fire went through the roof and melted some of these steel joists that are going across.
They had some roof members that had melted and warped, and so they had to replace those back there in that back corner, because it did get pretty hot.
There's a huge hole, and it was in April, and we were getting a lot of rain. So not only did Ink Link get all the fire water, but this hole, it rained. It rained for like 2 weeks after the fire, and so they just kept getting rained and rained and rained.
As far as fire damage goes, the Boone Saloon suffered heavy fire damage in the back of the building, and it got into the roof structure.
And the problem was that the fire was actually in the wall between the buildings, so they had to saw the roof off right where the unpainted brick meets that building, and get up in there.
In here, there's a toilet that's in the office, and that exploded because it got so hot. And there was like pieces of toilet all over the place. That was kind of cool. Bust through this wall. And we also keep our wine storage back there. And there's drips this long of fiberglass. That was really cool. There were shadows like on the pool tables, from where the balls were, kind of like Hiroshima, And same thing with where the wine and the beer were on the back bar. There were shadows of where those bottles were. Behind the stage is a dry storage area and a office, and somewhere in the intersection of those three places the fire started.
After the fire was put out, we did our investigation, and we determined the cause of the fire to be back in the office area.
It could have been a light bulb too close to some paperwork in the office. It could have been this wall used to not go all the way up. It could have been a cigarette getting flicked up there, or even just kicked around on the floor.
We ruled that the official cause of that fire was improper discarding of smoking material. They were back there smoking close somewhere around the desk area, and it was a very cluttered office and a lot of paper, heavy paper load, what we call it.
Nobody got hurt. Really, I mean, that held me through for a couple weeks of the whole disbelief and starting to rebuild. Every time I felt sorry for myself, I would just like, man, nobody even walked out with a cough. That was like my mantra for 2 weeks. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got hurt.
It is now December, and what was once soot has turned to snow. Lights, chairs, art, and entertainment highlight and improve Boone Saloon. But the most important piece to successful reconstruction has been the Boone community. And for the community, it is good to see an old face back on the block.
It was pretty cool actually, because like as the fire went on, there were more people who would come by and had heard that there was a fire, and like they weren't here to watch, but they were here more to talk to to Skip and all those guys, and just just tell them how sorry they were and stuff like that. So it was really cool because it kind of showed how much of a community center the saloon is.
People were waiting for us to open on the day of, and then I think by about 7 o'clock at night, it was one out, one in, because we were that full, and that lasted all night long, and that was celebration enough to have everybody come home.